Luis Henrique to Inter. No, not the PSG manager. Don't worry, we're talking about the Brazilian winger turned wingback from Marseille, who, according to all the main reliable reports, is close to Inter for a 25 million euros. I know, guys, we're all focusing, all have our goals towards that Champions League final, but the reports are saying that we are close to signing this guy for around 25 million euros. You guys have been asking for it, so I had to deliver this scout report. And before we get into it, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I always try to make a scout report before every major Inter signing. You hear Brazilian wingback from Liga and you're thinking, oh, not another Dalbert, please, not another Dalbert. If you're feeling scared, I feel you, but give me a few minutes. I've been studying his tapes, I've been studying his clips and matches. I wasn't really convinced when we were first linked to him, but I think I can see why Inter want to sign him. So let's get into the scout report. So first of all, who is he? Luis Henrique Tomás de Lima, born December 14th, 2001 in João Pessoa, Brazil. He began his journey at Tres Passos before moving to Botafogo, where he made his professional debut in 2019. In September 2020, Marseille signed him for around 8 million euros, and there was a bit of a buzz and a hype about this young kid coming through as an exciting winger. But initially, he struggled to get a foothold in Ligue 1, so he ended up getting loaned back straight to Brazil, to Botafogo in 2022. In Brazil, he did okay, 6 goals, 4 assists in 50 matches. I mean, pretty average for a winger, really. And then he returned to Marseille the season after, still as a winger, still struggling. Only 1 goal, 0 assists. Not good enough. And that was the 23-24 season. Fast forward to this past season, 24-25, who has reinvented him as a right wing back. And he ended up having a breakout season, 7 goals and 8 assists in Ligue 1, mainly from the wing back position, although he did start off the season as a winger. Next section, where does he play? I mean, I've already kind of mentioned this, but let's dive into his actual heat maps and position on the pitch to really narrow down where this guy has been playing. So the Derby, Marseille has played quite a few formations, but majority of the time he's been playing a 3-4-3. And Enrique in this 3-4-3 has been mainly playing as a right wing back. As you can see from the heat map, focusing on his action just on that right side, not too dissimilar from the Denzel Dumfries map that we can see on the screen as well. Of course, you need to take into account that Marseille in Ligue 1 are the team with the second highest possession, 64% average, which is ridiculous, which means they spend a lot of time in the opposing half. So that's why Enrique has a lot of action going on in the opposing half. You can also see a little bit of action on the left-hand side. That's when, you know, he plays as a winger. You can see as per Transfermarkt this season, he played as a conventional left winger up until match day 11. After that, he has only played as a right wing back. And in the last couple of matches with Marseille, he's returned to left wing, as De Zerbi has been playing more of a 4-2-3-1 formation. And he clearly maybe doesn't trust him yet as a conventional proper right back in a 4-defender formation, which probably a little bit of a red flag. At the end of the day, we all know why a winger becomes a wing back. Either he failed as an out-and-out winger, which means he didn't generate enough end product. Hello, Victor Moses. Or the team's change in formation requires at least one of these players to kind of sacrifice himself for the team. In Enrique's case, I think we can say it's a combination of both. It was clear. We saw the stats of him when he was a winger. The output just wasn't quite there. He wasn't quite good enough. But the Zerbi's change in formation has allowed him to use his best attributes and mask his weaknesses and bring out the best in him. And I think that role does fit him well, especially physically. I mean, look at the guy. He's pretty imposing physically. He does not look like a winger. He's quite well built, decent height, chunky legs, powerful legs. Definitely looks more like a defender than a winger structurally. He's quick, but he's not blessed with like crazy acceleration of the first few yards that you need for a top level winger. That body type, he reminds me kind of Reece James of Chelsea, of course, without the injuries, hopefully. And actually, more than just body type, his playing style a little bit reminds me of Reece James. And as we go on in this report, you might see why. But we've seen it with Inzaghi, with similar players with Enrique recently, Tejan Buchanan, Zalewski. He's actually tended to play them more on the left-hand side. But I think in this case, surely in 2025, coming up to 2026, this has to be the signing to replace Matteo Darmian. As much as we love him, as much as he's reliable, Matteo Darmian can't be a rotational wing-back option for Inter anymore. I've been saying it for years. It still hasn't happened. It might not happen again, but my scout report today is kind of based off that right wing-back situation. Now let's dive into some stats. As always, take these with a pinch of salt. I like using player rating apps, but you can see a clear trend that this is his best season ever overall as a footballer. I mean, look at his average match ratings over the last few years. It's clear this change in position has helped him. His shooting, 7 goals from just 30 shots with 14 of those on target. That's very good finishing, quite clinical. Now let's look at the spider map comparison from Data MB, comparing him to top 5 league fullbacks around Europe. You can see he stands out in the possession side of the game, ranks really low on the defensive numbers aside from his duel percentages, so you can see straight away what type of fullback he is. You know, really a winger turned fullback is quite clear. 1.83 key passes per game is outstanding, putting him in the top 4 percentile of wingbacks and fullbacks in the top 5 leagues in Europe. So you can see why he finished the season with 7 assists. 81 pass accuracy isn't anything to scream about, but when you start comparing his possession stats to Denzel Dumfries, he stacks up well. For example, he averages 12 more passes completed per 19 compared to Denzel, especially short passes. Henrique completes 22 short passes a game, whereas Denzel just under 14. Darmian is in the middle of both with around 17 short passes completed. So he is comfortable on the ball. Now let's get to the dribbling numbers. In Trieste, we are dying, right, for dribblers. 1.7 successful dribbles per 90. Nothing exceptional if he was a winger, but by Inter standards and by wing-back / full-back standards, that's life-changing. And compared to other wing-backs around Europe, that's in the top 3 percentile. Nice. Total, he attempts 3.1 dribbles with a 56% completion. Now let's compare that to Denzel. He attempts 2.2 with only 35% completion. So yeah, he's better at that for sure than Denzel. He likes to carry the ball too. 1.89 carries into the final third, 1 per 90 into the penalty area as well. So about a quick Data MB chart comparison between Henrique, Denzel and Darmian. Yeah, why not? Henrique statistically compares well, leading in duel percentage, passes and carrying, but losing everywhere else, especially aerially. Let me throw in a little bonus comparison for y'all. Even Perisic, probably the most complete version of a wing-back we've seen over the last few years, especially at Inter. See, Henrique outshines even in that duel percentages and progressive passes, and he also matches him in ball carrying, but then Lord Ivan dominates. But in terms of the makeup of his chart, you can see the room for improvement to get to the level of Ivan in terms of his characteristics. Now, let's talk about his strengths a little bit. And I think the stats already kind of showed you what his strengths are. As I said at the beginning, after studying some of his clips and matches, I can see why Inter won him. He's very, very comfortable on the ball, whether that's receiving the ball in dangerous areas or passing out from dangerous zones as well. Now, I'm not going to say he's Trent Alexander-Arnold in terms of his passing, but I think if Inter sign him and he comes in, I think he's going to be Inter's best wing back in terms of passing after Di Marco. Short and medium range, he's got it on lock, even with some eye for some cheeky through balls. And as we said, the ball carrying and dribbling are solid too. Now, let me give you some examples. Watch him here in this clip against PSG. He's able to bypass the high press with one simple dribble past Kvara and starts an attack. In the same game against PSG, he does a similar thing again against Barcola in an even trickier position. You can see his body strength and leg power in this action. And then afterwards, he's got a clean pass into his teammate. Yes, of course, it's risky, but this can add an edge to Inter's build-up play, because sometimes we end up passing around the back till the cows come home. When you look at Inter's actual average formation when we play, you will see that Dumfries' average position usually is really high up, almost next to the striker at times. And that is because Inzaghi is trying to hide Dumfries' weaknesses, but also, of course, trying to maximize his strengths. It's also because he doesn't want Dumfries to be involved in the build-up, because his technical ability and passing and control just isn't reliable enough. So actually having a player like Henrique in the build-up on that right-hand side too can help Inter in the build-up. And I'm not sure if Henrique has always had this in his game, or if this is something that he's developed this season under De Zerbi. Now, the next strength, of course, is the dribbling. We mentioned it in terms of stats. It looks nice and it's good in the final third, but it's nothing flashy. Definitely don't expect anything jogo bonito. I mean, yeah, sometimes he'll go for like a nutmeg, but what he does, he's good at changing his direction quite nicely, quite quickly to get past the opponent. You know, not even I don't really even see him doing too many step overs in the videos I watched, but he does enough to get his cross in. What I also like is that he likes to cut inside onto his left foot as well. It's not just about going out on the outside, which is pretty much all Denzel can do. It just gives a different angle for Inter to be able to create something in. And then going back to the physical attributes, this guy is averaging 80 minutes per game, and he has one of the most spotless injury histories on Transfermarkt I've ever seen. And as they say, availability over long term trumps ability. And finally, obviously, with his 7 goals this season and 7 assists, he is a goal threat. 0.48 goal or assist per 90 puts him as the best performing fullback / wingback in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Now let's move on to the weaknesses. I know you were waiting for this bit. The Interisti anxiety is coming in. Can he defend? Sort of. I mean, if you just look at the straight stats, they will say hard no. 0.5 tackles per 90, very low. Interceptions, even worse. Dribbles tackled, clearances, I mean, any type of defensive metric is looking real stinky. But as always, guys, context is key. As we mentioned before, in Ligue 1, Marseille dominates matches. They are mostly on the front foot. If they're defending, the defending starts with their pressing rather than actual defensive actions. So a lot of the defenders aren't defending per se, especially on the stat sheet it won't show. But yeah, when I actually watched his games and clips, you can see defending isn't his strength, but actually he's not as bad as I thought he would be. The main thing that I kind of noticed about him is he has a tendency to let crosses in. We know, and we hate DiMarco for this, but when he's faced up against wingers, he doesn't really lose the 1v1 battle as much, but he's not very aggressive and very keen on stopping the cross coming in. And I've seen Marseille concede chances and even goals from his kind of lackadaisical part of that game. And of course, he's only a recently converted wingback, so his positioning at times leaves a little bit to be desired. So that's something that definitely is going to have to be worked on. But as I said, actually, when I was studying his tapes, I was surprised actually by his defending in the 1v1 situations as well. I mean, let me give you some example. These 2 clips against PSG. The first one against Nuno Mendes, defends against him very well. And then the other one against Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, we know 1v1, this guy in Serie A was ripping defenses apart. And in that situation, again, jockeys very well and wins the ball back very well. But the big red flag that I haven't been able to get my head around is the aerial duels. I was looking around all the different websites, the stats websites that I use, and a lot of them are saying that this guy has won 0 aerial duels. I don't know what's going on. Is he allergic to heading? Or the French teams have not crossed it towards him? I mean, either way, I can tell that this is not a strength of his, because this stat encompasses the attacking part too. And we know when we're whipping balls in, especially that far post, when DiMarco's playing, we need the other wing back to be coming there with his heading and aerial ability to close the move. And defending wise as well, otherwise it becomes a weakness. And another weakness, going back to one of his strengths, the dribbling. Yes, the dribbling is good, the stats are looking good, and he should be our best dribbling wing back apart from Zalewski as soon as he comes in. But sometimes he forces it, and I know Inzaghi won't like that. Sometimes he wants to come in and try to force the dribble, or even when he's trying to get past the player. At times, we know ball retention, circulation of the ball is key for Inzaghi. He will have to choose his moments more carefully if he comes to Inter, especially with the Italian defenses are not going to be as open as Ligue 1 defenses in Italy. He's more likely to come up against parked buses. Although he has had a very impressive 7 assists this season, his final ball isn't that great from what I've seen. Like we said in the stats section, 33% crossing accuracy is pretty low. He does seem to cross it into the box without really a target in mind at times. He just seems to lump it in or curl it in at times. So how does he fit into Simone Inzaghi's system at Inter? Well, we know from recent history, he's not going to be replacing the starting right wing back straight away, which is at the moment Denzel Dumfries. Dumfries has that physicality, that presence, those goals, and most importantly, that defensive solidity, which means Simone trusts him. And that means Henrique is going to have to work on gaining that trust. But absolutely, as I said, I think we do need a player of these type of characteristics. I can see why Inter are wanting him, and he can be the vice Dumfries. He also can be, I know I've focused this video on that right hand side, but he can be a weapon on that left hand side too, because we know he can play on that side. And at the moment, as of today, this video, we haven't signed Zalewski on a permanent deal. So who knows, Inter investing 20+ million into this guy could mean the end of Zalewski as well. That's not 100% decided yet. Now it's time for the final verdict on this transfer, and I'm getting kind of convinced he is signing that changes everything, that revolutionizes the Inter team, and he takes out Denzel from the starting 11. I don't see, especially in this first year, I don't see that happening. I think it's going to take some time for him to usurp Denzel, if even that's going to happen. But we know that we need more legs, more athleticism, more running in this team, younger players with energy, and Luis Henrique definitely adds that dimension with the ball at his feet, with the dribbling, with the goal threat. And we know all about Inzaghi's positional fluidity, the centre-backs going to play up front in midfield and inverting in and out. But we don't do that with Denzel. With Denzel, it's either, you stay out on that right-hand side, or he even sometimes goes as a striker. With Luis Henrique, similar to Di Marco, you could almost say that we could have a Di Marco, a right-footed Di Marco now with Luis Henrique, a guy that can even invert into midfield because he's that comfortable on the ball, gives Inzaghi that option. And the fee, the rumor at the moment is around the 25 million euro mark. Marseille apparently are trying to hold out for more than that, to near 30. That is a little bit on the high side for me. I think, a few weeks ago when the links first started, I was saying the max I would pay for this guy is around 20 million euros for a wing back that put up the amount of contributions that he did last year. It's probably a reasonable price. So yeah, overall, I'm happy. I just hopefully we don't overpay for the guy, because that also adds on to the pressure, and that is ultimately on Luis Henrique. Can he handle the Inter pressure? Can he handle the tactical needs of Serie A, the tactical needs of Inzaghi? Can he handle the competition with Denzel and our other wing backs? If he can, I think he can be a useful addition to this Inter team, add that extra technical and athletic edge to this Inter team. And overall, if we don't drag this deal out and start overpaying for this guy and get other clubs involved, we do sign him for under 25 million euros. I think it's a pretty good deal overall. And he's 23, so he's not the finished product, but he's got plenty of time ahead to develop into that finished product. Now it's time for you guys to let me know your comments down below. What's your opinion on Luis Henrique? Did my video change your opinion on him, or you're still not convinced, or you were convinced and now you've changed your mind after watching the video? Let me know in the comments down below. Should Inter sign someone else instead of Henrique for that position? Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, especially if you want more transfer breakdowns and scout reports. See you on the next one. Ciao ragazzi, always, Forza Inter, Forza Luis Henrique, maybe.